So design is a process which is like a doing something, ideating something, creating prototypes, quick prototypes, going back to user, studying their behavior with the prototype and modifying. It is like a continuous loop. My idea should get refined and refined and refined before I say this is my final concept. Okay, that refinement plays very important role in our design process. It's not the linear process that I will develop something and that's the final design. And in this process, we have talked about the creativity is a ideation process happening in our brain. It is a process and innovation is outcome. To make a successful innovation, quick prototypes help a lot. And this quick prototype is a fantastic tool to even make concrete ideas. Okay, when it is inside our brain, whenever we are thinking something, we feel everything is possible, right? But once we start making quick prototypes, it's like a sketching. Once you start sketching, it the invisible becomes tangible or visible. Okay, then that sketch can be shown to somebody else. You can't show or describe what is happening in your brain so easily. Sketch helps you to explain. But more than that sketch, if some product which requires the human interaction, handling of the product, then quick prototype really play very important role. It helps you to move from the abstract world. Now, in brain it is more abstract. I am expecting, okay, it will move, it will work. But you have to make it concrete, tangible, visible, explainable to somebody else. So the quick prototypes help me. It also speeds up the learning process. Okay? It is an iterative process. The model can be modified, and if it is not working, I can change the mechanism. Okay? So it is a learning process. It reduces the cost of failure. Just imagine that you have developed something and designed and fabricated and even spent enough money on the injection molds and all that. But that product is not successful at the market. It's a failure, right? When you are making the quick prototypes, say in the foam or the polystyrene, it's to make sure that people can handle it, and making failure this failing early is better because you have not invested a lot of money. And that emotional attachment, this becomes visible. I can give it to somebody else and okay, the sketch is still there is an emotional attachment. When idea is inside the brain, you are most happy. No? You are saying you can describe it nicely, but it may not work really. Whether it will work, whether it will not work. Once you start making the quick prototype, that becomes clear. So it is a learning process, and also it is like a avoiding failure at the end. There are some interesting books, Making Things Move, Prototype and Model Making, The Art of Tinkering, wonderful book which talks about the tinkering process and how you can really learn a lot from existing product. You require simple tools. Okay, these tools are not very expensive, but these simple tools will help you to make accurate model. Though we are calling it as a quick prototype, but if you have tools with you, you can make them really quick. Why they should be quick? Because if you really spend too much time on any model making, again it's like a concretizing your idea into fullest detail. You start creating emotional attachment. And we are on the one hand, we are saying we should not have emotional attachment to that particular idea. Okay? So it should be as quick as possible. So we are encouraging you to use the paper corrugated board or PVC foam board and aluminum sheet and all that. These tools are materials, aluminum sheets, wire, rods, MS, copper, brass, SS, wires or thin sheets, plastics like styrene, PVC, acrylic, carbonate sometimes, nylon, delrin, Teflon, which can be used for making very effective friction-free joints. Wood, MDF, plywood. MDF plywood, they are cheaper and they are available in the sheet form. So very easily cut using circular saw or another tools. You have to make a toolbox. This handy toolbox and a well organized toolbox is the starting point for making quick prototypes. Files play very important role. Needle files for very fine detail filing, and then the rasper and all that for quick cuts, rough cuts. Okay, but the files are for giving shape to the different materials. Sandpapers and polish paper, because you want to bring in a better finish. There are water polish paper which can be used with water so that your finish is better. Vernier caliper. We don't need a very expensive vernier caliper. We all know that normally at 3 points, vernier caliper gives me the fixed distance, whatever that distance. 3 points, we have used it many times. But there is 4th point, and which is very useful for model making, is at the back of the jaw. And we can use it for marking. Instead of marking, actually I use it for cutting styrene sheet. Then paper cutting knives. I always say that if you want to buy a paper cutting knife, better buy with the first one is like the blade is in the plastic. So the gap may not be very precise, and as you use this plastic knife, the gap increases. So blade starts shaking. Instead of that, if you have a metallic casing, blade remains more rigid it is a robust construction. So if you really want to invest into a better cutting knives, go for the metal encased blade holder. You should have pliers, simple plier, cutting plier, notch plier and all those things. These help you to bend very small corners and the metal sheet, aluminum wire and all those things. Screwdrivers, set of screwdrivers play very important role, because you may be using screws and nut bolts and for making models. Our standard drawing templates, ellipse and circular templates and all that, those come very handy for cutting circles and marking accurate circles and radii. This can be used for cutting circles. The special circle cutting tools are there. Okay, if you are working on a toy where wheel is almost like every toy has a wheel, cutting accurate circle becomes very important. Scissors, different size, they come very handy for cutting paper or even thin aluminum sheet. Then various cutters are available for plastics, and when you are using styrene or acrylic, you have to select the proper cutter and use those to cut those plastic sheets. Small saw again is a very handy tool for cutting rods and pipes and even small pieces of wood. You can cut it very precisely using junior saw. small planer which can be used on acrylic or plastic sheets or wooden thing. Different adhesive like a water based adhesive or cyanoacrylates for quick fixing. There are contact pressure or rubber adhesives. Okay, you have to apply it on both the surface and do the pressure adhesive. You have to press two parts together and that acts as a adhesive. Hot glue gun is again very effective tool for pasting two different materials together. Epoxies, particularly AMCL is for giving fillets and filling some gaps and creating new shape over the existing rough cuts. All-purpose glues are there, PVC cements are there. Depending on which material you are using for making model, you have to select the glue accordingly. If you are working on the moving joints and all that, then you have to also look at the balls and ball bearings and the wheels which are having the least friction so that your rotation will be more effective. So all those aluminum window slides and all that, they come very handy at this point. Bicycle parts, the ball bearings, we can use very effectively. This plastic like nylon or Teflon sheets are available, so you can cut the washer or the strip to create a sliding joint. Something is moving inside, okay, and you want a low frictional joint, you can use this nylon Teflon sheets. Self-tapping screws again come very handy because you don't require the tapped hole on the your material. These are like you go on screwing, various length, various diameter depending on the thickness of your material, you have to select them. Self-tapping screws, nut bolts, you can unscrew, you can remove the parts. These come very handy when you are actually thinking about 2 color schemes and 3 colors. So you have better you separate the parts and plan for assembly after painting rather than using the masking approach, and many times masking result into a messing up. Okay, separate the part but think about how they will be joined together, either using screw or nut and bolt. Rivet, there are n number of rivets, split rivets are there or hollow rivet. The rivet is like a more permanent joint. If you are designing the toy, okay, where moving links are there and you don't want it to get loosened up. Finally, in final assembly, you should use the rivet because rivet will not get loosened up, while nut bolt will get loosened up. And to prevent nut getting loosened up, you have to put another lock nut to prevent the loosening or use Loctite to stop loosening. So, believe me, this model making is a creative process. You should make the models as quickly as possible so that it helps your thinking. Sanket was working under my guidance on laparoscopic laparoscopic device design. So of course the sketches, they play important role. Many sketches were drawn and then interaction, something moving. No sketch can help you to really interact with, right? So there will be a spring, but this moving action. So thermocol models are wonderful models, material, to explain how it will work. People can handle it. You can even show it to laparoscopic surgeon and get his or her views on whether it is possible to work on. Various model, various grips. Then of course you have to create the image board to perfect the form. And when you are working on form, maybe instead of using the thermocol, I will start using the PU foam where more detailed features are possible. Thermocol will not give you sharp line and detailed formal expression. Then you should, then and then only you should go for the digital prototype. Create a SolidWorks or solid form generation. Now this will help you to create a photorealistic visualization. It will help you to understand the part fitment. You can make the weight and volume visualization, accurate volume visualization. If you are designing a bottle for packaging 500 ml shampoo, then that volume construction, volume measurement is very important. Performance simulation, you can do the animation on the solid model and or even do the FEA analysis, whether it will really work for that under that stress condition. It will help you to make mold making, even 3D printing, which is now very common. You require STL file format output. So your solid model will give you the STL file and then you can print it on the 3D printer. And so this is solid model. So you can actually do all simulation, the movement and all that on computer. You can convert it into a engineering drawing, the front view, side view, top view, each part weight, because it is a volume. If you are working for developing mechanism, these ice cream sticks come very handy, because they can be, you can use the drawing pins to simulate pivot, and you can create the very accurate working mechanism. And then you can capture whether it really behaves what you are expecting. No? Paper corrugated board or cardboard. Okay, they are wonderful material, very easy to cut, cheap, and you can make as many prototypes as possible to visualize and feel whether you are creating the particular construction or mechanism, how it will work. So all your toys actually you should construct the quick prototypes almost like a replication of final construction process. Okay, particularly the wooden toys, I said you are going to use MDF board. Okay, so it is like a, not the voluminous form, but the form created using planks. Because planks allow you to create all those mechanisms very nicely inside. They are cheap and so quick, no? You can change, you can make another one. And I was working on canopy for CNG compressor, which is quite a bit bigger canopy or cabin, small cabin at the gas filling station. So how to create forms which are scale models? We just used Italian card paper, printed this, all CAD models, folded it like our school craft classes. So those are representing almost like a graphics is there and shape is getting explained. You can carry it very easily in a box. They are very lightweight, low cost. Aesthetic expression is possible because you are having the colors and graphics and all those things. So make the CAD model, opened up, get it printed, then cut and fold. That's all. Your whole model is like a ready to. This is how you can carry them around. And this is the final selected concept. Model is made with the styrene and aluminum and all different materials. Aluminum sheet, thin aluminum, not the thick aluminum, but the thin aluminum is so soft and so friendly. You can cut it with the paper cutting knife or using scissors. You can make L section, and the most interesting characteristic of this thin aluminum is once you bend, it remains. If you want to create a L section, paper is almost impossible, otherwise you have to make the styrene by cutting and pasting, right? But aluminum sheet, very easy to work with. And you can create the structures like, I was working for film blowing plant, which is almost like a 27 to 32 feet tall structure. So it is a structure. So how to represent that? So I use aluminum, and it is again very low cost, maybe 18 to 20 rupees per square feet type of cost. It retained the shape. That's the most interesting characteristic. And metallic. To get a aluminum or silver type of finish, painting is also very difficult. You might have experienced. Okay, the aluminum paints are not that effective, but the aluminum sheet itself, you can make it mirror polish also. You can do the buffing on that, and it retains that metallic finish. Styrene model, styrene and metal aluminum sheet, and this shows total construction details, how the insulation panel will be, how the structure will be, how will be the outside skin, how they will be fabricated, molded, assembled, and this is how the total gasifier base dyeing unit which I propose for tearing. Thermocols is very good for making formal expression. I was working for developing a bank of shapes for soap for Hindustan level. So I created all these are tiny full size thermocol pieces finished like your soap finished. Okay, and whole bank was created. Thermocol models are very handy also. You can, if the product is small, you can create the whole full size model. I was working on a portable radiography camera for BRC. So these are the form exploration, and this is where it is still heavy, about 12 to 16 kg weight. So there must be a handle, how you can carry it around. So this is how one can make the quick models. And this is the final model. The first one is that portable one. Another model is the trolley based used thing. It will weigh about 80-90 kilo, that other one. So it is trolley. But the first one is portable camera. So that one was made with the wood and styrene and all type of. And this we call it as a mock-up model, which is look-alike model. I can take the pictures of this, put it in my selling brochure or the creating information flyers and all that. You can use plywood if it is a small scale model. It's not too big, but I was working for ice cream container. This is the super insulated container which is used for transferring ice cream from a manufacturing plant to various level. Okay, so they are using those plastic crates. So the whole consideration about, and we optimize the shape so that the LCV can carry 8 containers like this. If you are working on a bigger material handling vehicle also, you can use very effectively thermocol and biofoam for making small models first. So these were the small models for forklift truck for Godrej. So this is actual chassis where 8 mm, 10 mm, 30 mm steel plates are used. So I converted that into a total new concept. Styrene 1/5 scale models were made where we proposed 5 millimeters sheet metal. And we have done FEA, and luckily it went through. Nowhere it was showing the stress concentration. So we went further, and this was the chassis concept. These are the various models for overhead guards. Small 1/5 scale model made with the biofoam. 1/5 scale model and full scale model. So actual wheels of forklift truck, then there is a plywood chassis in between which takes care of the human weight who is acting as a driver, and all other formal things are full scale thermocol pieces. And the whole model was so designed that you can go on adding and removing various pieces to create another combination. So different concepts, full scale were possible because those were only thermocol blocks. And then once concept was selected, it was further detailed out, and this is actual working prototype which was displayed at material handling equipment exhibition at Chennai. Thermocol, PVC pipe, they are wonderful material to develop again the form. This actually shows the whole process. Central piece is a thermocol block shaped. Front and back, they are more accurate, built with the styrene piece. Then they are assembled, finished to look like this. And the paint is acrylic emulsion, not even the yours NC based paints. So thermocol and biofoam becomes really handy where we are talking about the interaction. If you are designing a steering wheel and a human, and then you can interact with the steering wheel, or if it is a dream wall. Those were the concept during Godrej workshop came up. Thermocol model really comes very handy. These are the formal variation for my blister packing machine, and they are so easy to handle, and this graphical thing I can just remove. Okay, it changes I can draw different lines, and that's the beauty of this. If client doesn't like this chamfer, I can just use a knife and change the shape in front of the client. For making working prototype, of course, you can use the 3D printing because it gives you very accurate shells. So 2 shells, front and back, they can be assembled. You can put the LEDs or batteries inside and it becomes a working LED magnifiers or triplets. It was so detailed that you open, light is on. Close, light is off. And 3 lights are there which gives you exactly well illuminated object. Card reader. We have these magnetic cards, no? So can we develop? This is the basic circuit my client has given, and so we started developing shape around, and this is my first proto made in the styrene. Another shape. Then I said, no, this is not very comfortable to insert the card. So can I make it at an angle? So I started working on the thermocol piece. Thermocol model helps you a lot in visualizing parting lines and even the engineering details and color combination. You can actually draw different colors, different lines on the thermocol piece. So parting line decides the characteristic of your final form. And this is final injection molded piece. So inside detail and okay. So task is, let's do many quick models. Quick model help us to iterate and come to a final conclusion. Okay? What I am expecting tomorrow's stage presentation, your basic sketches must be converted into concept, 3 concepts and the final concept, and your paper corrugated or your PVC foam board, you should have the almost working model which will demonstrate its functionality, not the, it should, working model means it should really drive on the ground, no, but it should explain how it works. Okay, thank you.